There is a force at work in the world that you do not see. It hums quietly inside server farms. It pulses through encrypted data streams. It informs decisions that shape your life. It is the hidden hand guiding a surgeon's schedule in a busy hospital. It is the analytical mind directing troop movements on a distant battlefield. It is the predictive logic influencing the stock tickers that flash across your screen. This force is not a government agency. It is not a clandestine society. Hiding in plain sight, it builds software that reads messy reality and turns it into decisive action. This is Palantir, the invisible engine running critical parts of the Western world. At the heart of this technological empire stands a man as complex and unconventional as the company he leads. Alex Karp is not your typical Silicon Valley CEO. With his wild hair and distinctive style, and a PhD in social theory from a German university. He projects the image of a philosopher king who stumbled into high-stakes technology and national security. He is the philosophical and strategic heart of the company. His deliberately anti-Silicon Valley stance has earned him a cult-like following among retail investors and deep skepticism from civil liberties advocates. He speaks with an urgent, almost frantic energy, on stage or in financial news interviews. He frames Palantir not as a mere business, but as a moral imperative to equip the US and allies with decisive capabilities. A charismatic defender, convincing governments and corporations they need his seeing stones to navigate a dangerous world. To grasp Palantir's power, one must understand its core technology, the Artificial Intelligence Platform, or AIP. It is not a single product, but an entire ecosystem. AIP acts as a central nervous system woven into day-to-day operations. It ingests messy data, spreadsheets, sensor readings, video, text, and turns it into a single operational picture. AIP converts flood into focus, a dashboard for decisions. In a hospital, it connects records, surgical schedules, staff rosters, pharmacy inventory, and diagnostic imaging. It analyzes ER flow, cross-references or availability, and suggests the most efficient urgent schedules, anticipating shortages before crisis hits. For an army, it fuses satellite, drone, and on-the-ground reports to identify threats and plan patrols. For a corporation, it prevents stockouts and streamlines production. By 2026, AIP evolved beyond LLM interfaces, becoming the orchestration layer for agentic AI, systems that analyze, suggest, and take autonomous actions. Palantir calls it an AI operating system, the foundational layer companies and governments build on, now indispensable digital infrastructure. The platform's power is most visible and controversial on the battlefield. AIP processes real-time surveillance data from Project Maven using AI to analyze aerial imagery. A commander can ask, where is the highest concentration of enemy armor? And get map predictions in seconds. Karp says AI is giving the US and allies a decisive edge across the Middle East, enhancing lethal capabilities. In a high-profile case, Palantir's platform reportedly worked with Anthropic's model in a capture operation. But the utility extends far beyond the theatre of war. Logistics giants predict congestion and reroute cargo, saving millions and weeks. Hedge funds fuse market data, news sentiment, and economic indicators to make faster, more informed decisions. Hospitals manage patient flow, optimize scarce resources, and anticipate staffing needs, turning data into a strategic asset. In every case, Palantir imposes a layer of digital order and intelligence on complex systems. By 2026, Palantir's strategic importance is written in the language of Wall Street. It has shifted from mysterious contractor to bona fide financial powerhouse, a market capitalization of approximately $424 billion, a cornerstone of the S&P 500. Investors see Palantir as the essential OS for the decision intelligence era, with consistent GAAP profitability. Explosive growth is driven by AIP's commercial success and accelerating adoption. Q3 2025 revenue, $1.181 billion, a 63% year-over-year surge. 2026 guidance at 61% growth, well above Wall Street's 43% estimate. The US Army consolidates 75 contracts into a single 10-year 10B deal, making Palantir the backbone of Army data ops. Major UK and ICE agreements deepen Western integration. Despite a 14% dip in early 2026, shares surged 77% in 2025 and climbed for 16.3% last month. Analysts see 87% upside from $135.68. Palantir is a financial titan tied to Western stability and security. With great power comes great controversy. Deep ties to the military and intelligence communities make Palantir a target for critics. The rise of generative AI has intensified the scrutiny. A public feud over using Claude for defense erupted. Karp asserted Palantir's stack runs the LLMs, placing the company between advanced models and the DoD. Tension between creators and deployers. Safety ideals versus national security imperatives. Karp says these products were never meant for domestic mass surveillance. Yet use by law enforcement and ICE alarms civil liberties groups. Palantir calls it surgical, finding the needle, not watching the haystack. Critics say the line is dangerously thin. Palantir's black box reputation shadows its rise. Powerful, life-altering decisions are made by logic hidden from public view. As Palantir moves to the core of operations, opacity raises democratic anxieties. If an AI flags the wrong person or triggers a bad trade, who is responsible? Operator? Engineer? Vendor? Internal reasoning spans millions of data points. Even creators can't fully explain outcomes. Supporters argue secrecy protects strategic advantage in a dangerous world. Critics warn reliance on secret algorithms erodes freedom, entrenching bias without due process. The black box can become unaccountable power. Can we govern what we cannot see? Palantir is no longer just a vendor. It is a power broker. Its influence lives in relationships and critical infrastructure it controls. As its software becomes standard for planning, logistics and finance, the firm earns a unique seat at the table. It doesn't just react to events. It shapes the environment where decisions are made. With chain reaction, Palantir aims to be the operating system for US AI infrastructure. Bedrock, not niche. If successful, other AI firms and their clients become dependent on Palantir's rails. A symbiosis with the state. Public contracts fuel a private enterprise the state relies on. Rising tensions drive demand. Revenues fund R&D. The loop reinforces market and policy influence. Signals from its platforms can move capital, while defense ties give it a voice in policy. Palantir operates in the grey between corporate interest and national security, a partner to the powerful. We stand at a crossroads, and Palantir is the signpost. On one hand, security and efficiency, tools that can save lives and streamline vital services, a digital arsenal for democratic nations, the promise of the protector. On the other, the panopticon, a centralized system of surveillance and control. Power concentrated in few hands, hidden behind proprietary code. A system that knows everything can control everything. Quiet, algorithmic tyranny. The truth may be both, a mirror of our anxieties and ambitions. The ultimate question isn't what Palantir will do, but what we as a society decide to do with this power. Who, in the end, gets to watch the watchers? So, yeah, that's the question we have to answer.